Where I left off with was this thing about protection. It came to me, it's like ever since I've been following, and what happened is, I did a lot of study, right? And then decided I'm going to give up as much iniquity as I can regarding my own life. I'm going to follow the law as best I can. And this consisted in my own mind. I spent this year, right, not observing Christmas specifically because I realized that Christmas was not in the Bible. It says nothing in the Bible about Christ being born on December the 25th, or that Christmas is a day that you celebrate Christ's birth, right? So, and all of this stuff has come to me quite recently, right? It's not like I've known it for a long time because of my, because I kept searching until I found something that made sense. Also, so because of this, I just, right, that's it. I don't celebrate Christmas. What I do is, I will celebrate the holy days as in the Bible. I'm not going to celebrate something that's not in the Bible. I'm going to celebrate something that I'm going to observe God's holy calendar in the Bible, which is the beginning with the Passover, going on to the 8th day. I'm going to observe all of those as best I can, right? And comply with what God is saying in his law, as opposed to everybody else observing something that's not even in God's holy book, right? That everybody else does because it's tradition, because everybody else does it. No, I'm going to be different. I'm going to stand out. And I'm going to do what God has said, not opposed to what Satan has basically deceived all these people into changing. He's changed the times and seasons. He's changed the so-called birthday to Christ to Christmas, which is not even Christ's birthday. Shepherds watch their flock by night, right? Well, they don't do it at that time in Israel. Do you know what I mean? So when you start to put it together, right, December the 25th is actually the birth date of Nimrod. And Nimrod is really just another aspect of Satan. So Satan has deceived all these Christians into worshipping Christ on a satanic holy day. It's like Nimrod, Semiramis, Isis. All these different gods and goddesses are really the same, different aspects of Satan. So Satan has tricked them the same way Satan has tricked them into observing pagan Easter, pagan Christmas. Christmas was originally used by devil worshippers to burn their babies to Molech. This is what they were doing on that date. This is to do with Nimrod, right? This is not a true... There is nothing in the Bible. No one can... I'll give them, like claims have been made before. Show us where in the Bible where it says that Christmas is Jesus Christ's birthday, and you won't find it because it's not in there. The time when it is Christ's birthday is the Feast of Trumpets, which is one of the holy days, right? And the time when Christ died is the Passover. But most people don't know this because they say, oh, it's something to do with the Old Testament. It doesn't apply to the New Testament. It's not in the New Testament, so it doesn't apply. This is where they've been deceived by Satan, because it does apply. And as Yeshua or Jesus said, he came not to change the Torah. Jehovah never changes. So consequently, what is in that law applies today as much as in the past. So this Christmas is Satan's way of changing the times and the seasons, right? And by doing that, he makes the people go against Jehovah because they are using the wrong times and days to celebrate. They're using a pagan festival. So because of that, they become accursed. It's the same thing as the land rest, right? If you read the scriptures, it said failure to comply with the land rests will result in you being taken into captivity, right? And this is why Israel went into captivity in the old days, because they had a failure to comply with the land Sabbaths, which are every 7 years. And people tell you, oh, this is just something to do with the old. No, it's not. This is to do directly. This is for eternity. This is forever. So once you start to get to grips with the law and not like have Satan trying to move it around or trying to interrupt it or take it out of context, you can tell yourself when you've hit it. I just know that ever since I've been following as best I can what he's saying in Scripture, that I feel a certain amount of peace. You see, the what is, I find that when one is in iniquity, no matter how one tries to cover it up, it never goes away. But when one goes the other way, right, then one has a certain amount of peace. Because it doesn't matter what happens, right? You know that you have tried to go. You passed a test. That you are worthy to enter his kingdom. And this is what I was getting at, right? Where is this leading to? It's leading to the fact that Jehovah has said about his kingdom. Now, the way I'm seeing it is, would Jehovah want somebody who was iniquitous to enter his kingdom, right? Would he want someone who was of iniquity to be somebody who is ruling with Christ for eternity? You know, and this is where it cuts the line, right? You have to look at yourself and start to observe yourself. Am I the right kind of person to be in Jehovah's kingdom? Or what is it about me, yourself, that would deprive you of that situation? Because when you have to answer yourself these questions, that's when you see yourself for the first time. And then I think, I know it doesn't matter about anything now, because all of this that's going on will perish. We're told everything will perish. All that will be left is Jehovah and the judgment, right? And what will remain for eternity is those who rule with Christ. And I'm thinking, it's obvious to me now when I see it in the condensation. Imagine being at rule with Christ for eternity, where the curse was removed and you had total creation before you. There was nothing in your way. There's no other place to be. There's nothing else to do. That's the only place you've got to get to. The question is, how do you do it? How do you get to be at that special place, that time, when you are with Christ for eternity and there is nothing against you and the curse is removed? How can you get to that place? Because there's nothing else that's any good. Everything else goes, including Satan. They all go eventually. All you're left with is before God's throne, accounting for your life. That's the way I see it. But you can avoid that. He's saying you can avoid the great white throne judgment after the millennium. You can make the first resurrection, which is the resurrection of the saints, the post-tribulation rapture, not the pre-tribulation, after tribulation. You can make, when Jesus returns at the seventh trumpet, you can be one of the saints and not have to go through the book of life judgment, because you will be considered worthy enough to be with him when he returns at the seventh trumpet.